What's up, everybody? This is Jackhammer2711 coming at you with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the MattelCollector.com Superpowers Collection Batman action figure from Mattel. This figure was originally released in September of 2014 on MattelCollector.com, and it is a part of the Big Goodbye from Mattel Collector, Mattel, Toy Guru, and the whole DC Universe Classics team. It's part of the Big Goodbye to the DC Universe Classics / DC Club Infinite Earths line of action figures from Mattel. A final 6-figure series of action figures paying homage to their Superpowers appearances as a final thank you to supporters of the line. As you can see, this packaging does it's a little bit bigger than your standard DC Universe Classics packaging. It does come in the white mailer with the as you can see here, though, it has the Superpowers Collection logo and a nice Batman logo across the bottom here. And it does have, of course, if you can see down here at the bottom, the Mattel logo and the Adult Collector logo down there at the bottom. Can't really see it because of the camera set up here, but it's not really important. I mean, we all know what we're getting with the white mailer box. Opening the white mailer box, and I'll apologize ahead of time for the way this is going to look. The way the packaging is made, there's no way to stand it up where it stands straight up and down without it falling over. But anyway, whenever you take the figure out of the packaging, man, you get just this fantastic packaging. This, of course, is a throwback to the Kenner Superpowers Collection action figures that were released in the mid-early 80s that contained the DC Superpowers line of action figures. And of course, you see here on the packaging, let me go ahead and kind of zoom in on, oops, sorry about that, zoom in on a couple details here on the packaging. You see there at the top, you have this really nice, let me just bring this forward a little bit. That's going to be the easiest thing to do. Just bring this forward a little bit. You can see here on the top of the packaging, you have a really nice Superpowers Collection logo there, along with the Action Pack 30th Anniversary logo, because it is celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Superpowers action figure line. Down here, you see this really nice image of Batman just as he appeared on the original Superpowers packaging. Of course, the name of the figure here, Batman. And then you've got, right down here at the bottom, you've got a Mattel logo instead of a Kenner logo, which just makes sense because this is a Mattel figure, not a Kenner figure. And of course, you've got just this nice, you know, this blue and this yellow. It's just a really nice reproduction of that original Superpowers packaging. And then, of course, there you see Batman packaged inside the packaging as he looked in his Superpowers costume. Just really nice packaging. Taking a look at the back, you've got a nice little blurb here of what this is all about. And I will read this to you. I don't normally read this to you guys, but this is really cool. While you look at this image of all the figures in the DC Universe Classics line that have been produced that were originally available in the Superpowers line. This is just really cool. And these are, as you look closely, these are not pictures of the Superpowers figures. These are pictures of the DC Universe Classics renditions of these figures, but they're put on here as if they were packaged, as if they were part of the Superpowers line. Really nice. It says, a milestone in modern toy collecting comes to a close as the DC Universe Classics and DC Signature Series makes a heroic finale. But we wouldn't ride into the sunset without one final hurrah for our fans. For years, DC Universe Classics has consciously paid homage to one of the greatest DC Comics toy lines of our childhood, Superpowers, including in its 6-inch lineup obscure Superpowers characters like Samurai and Cyclotron, alongside DC mainstays like Superman and Batman. Now, as we celebrate both the end of DC Universe Classics and the 30th anniversary of Superpowers, Mattel and Matty Collector are proud to present a final 6-figure series offering some of the biggest names in the DC Universe and historical Superpowers deco. Of course, it wouldn't be a fan celebration without recreating homage packaging harkening back to the classic 80s toy line. As one era ends, we celebrate the entire modern history of collecting DC Comics action figures with the DC Superpowers 6-inch collection. And again, there you go on the packaging. You can see all of the figures released in DC Universe Classics that were also released as DC Superpowers. And then, of course, down there below that, you have kind of their names, their checklist. As you can see there, the number corresponds with the number on the packaging up here where they're represented. Down here at the bottom of the packaging, of course, you've got another Mattel logo, some consumer information, MattyCollector.com, where collectors are king, some more of that legal stuff that Mattel puts on there. Bottom of the packaging is just nothing. There's nothing there on the bottom. But just really, really nice packaging, really nice execution. I can't wait to get this figure opened up and review him. So having said that, let's buzz Superpowers Batman out of his plastic prison and see just exactly what he's working with. Alright everybody, we have Batman here out of the packaging. And I've got to say, a lot of people were really upset with Mattel for even doing this. I, on the other hand, am pleasantly surprised and very, very happy with this figure, even though it is just a repaint. But before we take a look at the Batman figure, let's take a look at the accessory that he comes with, and that accessory is this. This is the Kalibak Build-A-Figure that Mattel is releasing with this final 6-figure line. This is just the, I think, Series 6 Kalibak, or whatever series it was, Kalibak that we got with DC Universe Classics, but it's been painted in a more traditional Superpowers paint job. Now, this is not going to be a perfect translation of Kalibak in his Superpowers look whenever this figure is completed. It's just not going to be that, because Kalibak in his Superpowers rendition was not sculpted in this way. It was a different sculpt. But it's still a nice piece. You can see the, oh man, bumping my camera here. You can see the sculpting detail there of, Kalibak's arm. It's, obviously he's very, very hairy. Oops. He's a very hairy gentleman. And you can see some sculpting detail there. I think this was like a tattoo or something on the first one. Sculpted here on the arm. You can see it just looks like a mouth with some teeth on it right there. But it just comes down here to his glove with some really, really nice Kirby-esque sculpting detail in it there. It's painted in kind of a really, really deep red, maroon, brownish color with the main color, and then the trim in a really nice bright blue. The arm painted in more of a flesh tone. But it is what it is. I'm not entirely certain if I want to get all the figures in the line to build the Kalibak. Just because it's not a different sculpt, and there's a couple figures that I think I can pass on that I don't need, and if I don't need them, I'm not going to spend the money just to get the Kalibak piece. Maybe if I can get the Kalibak pieces online, I'll do that. And which I am a completist, so it's really, really hard for me to say that. It's just, I don't think I'm going to be getting all the figures in the line, and I'll explain why here in just a little bit. But this is the Collect and Connect Build-A-Piece for Superpowers Kalibak. It is his right arm that does come with the Batman figure. Now, taking a look here at the Batman figure, it is, as you can see, just from the head here down towards the body, looking at the torso, and then down here to the feet, it is just a repaint. It's a repaint of the Series 1 Crime Fighter, what was it called, or Detective Batman. The difference in the paint job being, number one, that Batman had a big black blob on the cowl right here, across the cowl and the face, that was intended to represent the shadow that Batman always had across the top part of his cowl here whenever he was drawn in this costume in pretty much the 70s, throughout the 80s, and into the early part of the 90s. You know, he was always portrayed with that black shadow across the top of his cowl right there. And other than that, this figure's identical, except for the fact that the gray on the body that figure was cast in was a bit darker. The shade was darker than this. And then the blue on the cowl, cape, gloves, trunks, and feet were a darker blue as well. A lot of people liked that figure. I did as well. It was a good rendition of the character, but I understand the black across the top of the cowl, and it doesn't bother me that much, but I always wanted a blue and gray Batman that didn't have that shadow across the cowl. And this is a nice way to get that. Granted, the colors are a little bit lighter than on that figure, and maybe they would have looked a little bit better if they'd have been darker here, but let's not forget, this is a call out, this is an homage to the Batman action figure from the Superpowers line. And just alone is that this is a perfect recreation and homage to that figure. These colors match up nicely to the way that Batman was colored. I mean, if you had that Batman as a child, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But like I said, I posted in a forum the other day, you know, with some friends of mine, that I was planning on getting him. You know, there was a lot of back and forth about who wasn't going to get him, who wasn't going to get him, and why. I said I was going to get him because I now have an iconic Batman wearing that blue and gray costume without that black on the cowl that I wanted. This is probably, in my display, this figure's probably going to be my iconic Batman whenever I display him. You know, he's going to be my classic Batman. Because this is, I mean, it's a really good rendition. The paint job is really, really nice as well. Really bright and vibrant. Not a lot of shading on the cowl. Little bit of shading here on the back, on the cape, but not a whole lot. Not really any shading on the gloves or the trunks or the boots either, but you can see just on the arms there subtly, there's some nice shading to bring out the sculpt on the arms there. Nice, really nice, vibrant, classic Batman symbol. And just the head sculpt's fantastic. It's really, really good. You can see there between his eyebrows, he's got that furrowed brow there with some creases in between his eyes. He's just a really, really nice figure. And this is going to be a really quick review because this is just a repaint. What I'm going to do right now is just talk a little bit about this line in general. 6 figures in this Superpowers line. Of course, this Batman. There's also a light blue Superman, which matches the Superpowers colors. There's a Wonder Woman painted in her Superpowers colors, which the only difference there is all the gold bits that were on the original figure and I'll paint it in yellow. Just a regular yellow color. Then there's a gold Superman, which is a callback to that bonus figure from the original Superpowers line. It's just a Superman in a gold costume instead of a blue one. There is a Mr. Mixie's Pitlick that is going to be coming, that was originally going to be released with a light blue Superman in the Club Infinite Earth's subscription line. Had it gone through, he was going to be a pack-in with that figure that's going to be released. And there is also it's a Green Lantern as Riddler figure, which is actually a callback to the Super Amigos line. It was a line produced in Mexico, where for the Riddler figure, they just took a Green Lantern, painted him as the Riddler, and released him that way. And just the colors are mismatched on it. Once again. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had a visitor at the door there. But as I was saying, that Riddler figure was just... I definitely don't want that figure. Not even for the Kalibak piece, not even as a complete. It's just because there were other figures they could have released that would have been a better homage. They could have done the Captain Marvel with all yellow instead of gold, and excuse me, it's just, it's not for me. But the biggest problem with this line is the price point. They're charging $30 for these figures, and these are just repaints. The only one that they have to go into any kind of sculpting for is the Mixie's Pitlick, and he doesn't even hardly have any articulation. I mean, it's just, I can't really understand the $30 price point. But having said that, there are a couple figures in the line that, despite that price point, I can justify me spending that much for them, because to me, they're figures that need to be included in my collection. And this is one of them, because this is going to be my iconic Batman in my display. The classic rendition of Batman, because when I think of a classic Batman, this is what I think of. The blue cowl, the gray bodysuit with the iconic black and yellow symbol there in the middle. And I can justify spending $30 on this figure for my collection. I'm probably not going to get the Wonder Woman. I'm not going to get the Riddler. I already have the Superman, and I'll be reviewing him here shortly, just so you can get a look at him. Once again, it'll be a really short review. And I don't know, that gold Superman is nice. I may get it, but probably not. I'll get the Mixie's Pit League just because, that's another character that is, missing from my collection that I would want to have in that DC Universe Classic scale. But just taking a real quick look at articulation, the head goes all the way around on that ball joint like most other DC Universe Classic style figures are. The head goes up about that high, down about that far. Not too much motion there. But the shoulders do go all the way around there at the shoulder. They go up about that far, and back in. Of course, the bicep swivel there goes all the way around. He's got the single point elbow, which goes about that far up and then back out. You can't see mine as he was packaged. His I think they're called scallops maybe here on the back of his gloves. This one did come just a little bit warped, but I can fix that with some heat and some cold water. But that is there to be aware of that on your figures when you get them. Of course, he does go all the way around at the wrist with the rotation there. He does have an ab crunch. Goes about that far forward and about that far back. The cape doesn't impede that at all, so that's really, really nice. Get him straightened back out there. He does go all the way around at the waist. The legs are on that standard DC Universe Classics hip articulation, so they go all the way out there at the hips. This figure, the articulation is really, really good there. It goes all the way forward, all the way back. It does have thigh rotation there at the thigh, so it will go all the way around to the thigh. Single point knee goes about that far and then back, and then of course your hinged ankle joint. Like I said, I just taking another look at that bat. That's just a nice crisp black and yellow bat signal there. It just looks really nice. And the paint detail on here is really, really good. All the paint's really nice, really clean, really crisp. No paint bleed anywhere that I've been able to see on this figure. He's just, it's a nice, classic Batman figure. I mean, that's what this is to me. It's just a very well done classic Batman. And it's I'm having a little hard time getting him to stand there. It's exactly what I wanted for my collection whenever I want a classic Batman. It's just a nice figure. And again, the colors on the camera, he's coming across a bit darker, especially in the gray area, than he is in person. That gray bodysuit is much lighter in person than you're seeing on the camera there, as is the blue. But it's still I mean, you can tell what you're getting here. I'm sure you've seen other reviews, other pictures of the figure. It's exactly what you're thinking it is. It's that Batman buck with the blue and gray costume. Really, really nicely done. Really nice figure. I like him a lot. It is, as I said, going to be my classic Batman. Despite the fact that it's a $30 price tag, it's worth it to me. If, like myself, you really, really want just a classic black and gray Batman without that black across the cowl. And no, that wasn't a cow in the background. That was Chewbacca telling me I have a text. But anyway, this has been my review of the DC Universe Superpowers Collection Batman action figure from Mattel. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. And as always, guys, this has been Jackhammer2711, and I will catch you on the flip side.